being a person who lived in a dark place for most of their life, it was real challenging. Not having a sense of direction and making choices that wasn't good, that wasn't beneficial. Just trying to see where you fit in. Those choices sometimes leads to regret and asking the question, why did I do that? Being in that dark place and being in that pit consists of me being on drugs, leading me to go to prison, and just was trying to figure myself out, trying to understand where do I belong, trying to understand what it is that I'm supposed to be doing, what is my purpose. It got hard, it got challenging, it got to the point where I was asking myself, is this where I'm going to be for the rest of my life? It got to the point where I would shut myself in and just weep and just cry. I've always known God. You know, I was going to church as a child, and I just stopped going and wanted to do what I wanted to do. But I've always known the Lord. And I prayed, and I would cry out to him, but still in a dark pit. I didn't know anything about the Lord's hand being on your life, or the process, or things things of that nature. I have been in and out of jail, but it took for me to go to prison. It took for me to go to prison and actually sit down, and that was rough. Because when I was in there, I was still making decisions that wasn't good. There are drugs in prison. I started doing that as well. But then I knew that it was time for a change. I knew that it was time to go another route. I started reading my Bible more and getting into prayer, but still participating in things that wasn't good. But I knew right then that God was beginning to work on the inside of me. I get released from prison, and they say, you find God in prison and then you sit him down when you get out. I still had him in my heart. But now that I'm free, that was the challenge. I found myself going back down the same road. But it was a message that I heard from T.D. Jakes. I was in my room. I was living in a home with 5 different men. It's called a rooming house. And I was renting out a room. And that night I was in my room. I was listening to a message from T.D. Jakes. And he said something with me. He said something that stuck with me for the rest of my life. He said, if you would just let go of the only that suddenly would take place in your life. I began to weep. I began to sob. And I began to cry out to the Lord, and I say, God, take this away from me. Take this only away from me. I can't keep no money. It's trying to consume me. I was on my way to work. The next morning, I get on the bus. I was catching a bus. I was catching 4 buses to work because I had to be transported to another city. And there was a poster on that bus that spoke about addictions. And the first thing in my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to a detox program. I'm not going to a rehab program. But every day when I got on the bus, for some reason, it was the same bus. Usually it'd be different buses that come, but for some reason it was the same bus with that same sign that was speaking so loudly to me. I surrendered. I checked myself into a rehab facility, and got myself together. I got out and the suddenly started to take place in my life. The Lord transitioned me to another state. Things began to open up for me. Doors began to open up for me. Things began to fall in place. I say all that to say this. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what you're doing. The Lord will save you. The Lord will guide you. The Lord will sustain you. He will bring you out of that dark pit. He will bring you into the light. He will strengthen you. He will mold you. He will form you. It's not going to be easy always. It's not going to be easy always. But it will be worth it. When God's hand is on you, all things is possible. So don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. There is more in store for you. There's a purpose for you to birth out into the world. You are a king and you are a queen. You was created to change the world. So whatever place that you're in right now and you feel that you can't get out, cry out to the Lord. He is a savior. He's a way maker. He's a healer. This is what I know. Finding God was the best thing that ever happened to me. Finding the Lord was the best thing that happened to me. I have a heart for his people. And you hear people say that, and it may sound like it's cliche, but I really do have a heart for his people because I just really want to see people whole, healed, joyful, peaceful. I want to see them just bright. No matter where you are, the Lord loves you. He will save you. He will equip you. He will cultivate you. He will sustain you. He will form you. He will mold you because he loves you.